Hi everyone, this is Tom the Business Lawyer. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of having appropriate contracts for your business and a little bit about what they need to have in them. In most instances, every deal is different, but these are sort of rules of thumb across the board that you could use and ideas and concepts that should lend to help you in having the right contracts for your business with your customers, your vendors, etc. Who am I? I'm Tom the Business Lawyer. I've been a lawyer for over 16 years now. I've got a practice in Claremont, California. It's business law, which is transactional work. And then on the other side is disputes and civil litigation, which is the majority of what I do. I try to keep my clients out of litigation. When we're talking about your contracts, you got to think of the context of who your audience is. Yes, a lawyer is going to say you're going to need a good business contract for your customers and your vendors, the people who sell you stuff, and you have business to business sort of deals. If you're going to have like an automotive business, for example, you're not going to want a 60-page, well-drafted, buttoned up agreement for your customers to sign. They might spend $500 on a new transmission. They're going to look at this huge contract and laugh at you. So it needs to be in the classic invoice style, with appropriate terms on there. Just the basics, nothing too fancy, but what you need to have in there. All right. So that initial point is, think of your audience, right? If it's business to business, yeah, you can have a much longer agreement. If, let's say, you're having an exclusive deal with another business, yeah, all those terms need to be buttoned up in a much longer version to make sure all the eventualities are covered. You're going to want to consider what should be in there. To me, the number one and most obvious thing is there should be probably an attorney's fees provision, right? Because unless by statute or by contract, you have to pay your own attorney's fees, right? It doesn't shift unless there's a statute or the contract says so. So make sure your contract says so. This ups the ante and increases the desire and really the cost-benefit analysis, the benefit of suing, because if you have to pay your lawyer and you win, the other side might have to pay your lawyer back. Often very important, and without it, it could be very problematic. You're gonna want, what happens if there's a dispute? Maybe some dispute resolution mechanisms. Maybe it could discuss a mediation or arbitration, which is like court outside of court. It should discuss that, okay? It's gotta be, of course, clear on the basics, which are what's the money involved, what's the price here, what's the consideration, what are the due dates, who are the parties involved. All those basics are sort of obvious, but you're gonna wanna go along and take a look at what you need in there, what's important to you. If maybe some of the fees that are charged could be variable depending on, I don't know, prices of commodities or market or gas prices, or maybe you want the ability to charge a surcharge because fuel may increase greatly, well, have it in your contract. The details that are important to your particular business is what should be in there. That's what should be in there. Again, every case is unique. This is not legal advice. I'm not your lawyer, but these are just general concepts that people should consider when saying, what should I have in there? Where, again, of course, I left this out, liability. Who's going to be liable for what? Typically, it should be the party who's controlling that aspect of the contract, right? If you're the one handling the goods and you drop it, why should the other party be liable for risk of loss? Logically, you should. But of course, your attorney is going to want to try to get all the terms in your favor. You want it kind of down the middle, usually, obviously to protect your client as much as possible, but there's no need really to have it unnecessarily one-sided, okay? What I just am scratching on is just the basics and the surface of how in-depth your contracts could be, what they need to address, how it's different from your customers, to your business-to-business vendors, to your landlord, your lease. That's a contract, of course. That's very important because most businesses have brick and mortar. Maybe not nowadays. There's a lot more online businesses. But these are things to consider, and the goal in telling you these things, not to scare you, but to prompt your thought and to ask make pointed statements in order to provoke you to say, geez, what should be in my contracts? How is this going to affect my business? And you got to keep in mind that it's a living, breathing document. Just because you draft it and you have a template doesn't mean that's what you should go with a year from now. You got to change things. You're going to have to see what works, what doesn't, what's caused you problems, what hasn't. Make those adjustments. Now you got a better contract. That's what you want to go for. Thinking of thought-provoking questions, I do have a quiz on my profile, which you could check out at Tom the Business Lawyer. It asks these thought-provoking questions about your business, like formation, how it's handled, how you're going to treat your employees, all these different things. And it kind of calls you out if you don't have it all together. That's the goal, again, not to scare you, but your paranoid business lawyer wants to keep you out of trouble, okay? I also, if you like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to have a lot more of these. I'm going to give a lot of information out there, and we're going to keep it going. But thanks for coming to this particular video. More to follow.